from our Milwaukee studios with stories that matter to you. This is Fox 6 News.
What started as a relaxing Sunday morning at a popular spa turned to tragedy.
I saw a girl coming out from the salon and she was bleeding in the neck.
3 people are killed in Brookfield, 4 others are shot.
It was just real surreal. The more cops coming from all over the place.
And after a frantic search for the shooter, he's found dead by his own hand inside the salon. And for the second time in less than 3 months, a mass tragedy hit southeastern Wisconsin.
First, the Sikh temple. Now 3 people are killed and 4 others are wounded in a shooting at a salon in Brookfield. This is the man police have identified as the shooter, 45-year-old Radcliffe Houghton. He was found dead of a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head inside Azana Salon and Spa.
This all taking place on Moreland Road in Brookfield, just across the street from the Brookfield Square Mall. We're going to begin our coverage tonight with Fox 6's Brandon Cruz. Brandon?
Well, that area around the Brookfield Square Mall turned chaotic just after 11 this morning. Police and other emergency crews were on hand trying to find the suspected shooter, that is Radcliffe Houghton of Brown Deer, as he opened fire inside the Azana Salon and Spa on Moreland Road. Immediately after receiving a 911 call just after 11 Sunday morning, police arrive at Azana Salon and Spa, where a man identified as Radcliffe Houghton was shooting at people.
In responding to the active shooter, approximately 10 to 12 clients or employees and the injured victims were rescued and evacuated by personnel.
In all, there were 7 victims. 4 of them, all females, were sent to Frederick Hospital.
3 were located in the salon, deceased, as well as the suspect.
Police shut down Moreland Road up to Blue Mound, including parts of the Brookfield Square Mall parking lot. But it took police several hours to find the suspect, mainly because of the building's size. They say it's about 9,000 square feet with elevators, many different levels, small rooms, and spa areas, including locked doors that they didn't have keys for. The scene also was filled with smoke, as the shooter apparently set a fire in a hallway.
We methodically did a search of that building, expecting to encounter the suspect, and we were expecting an armed encounter if we did come across him.
Instead, they found Houghton dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Now, police did find Houghton's car, but it was not in Brookfield, and they wouldn't specify where they did find it. They also say this incident stemmed from a domestic violence incident that began on October 4th with his wife, resulting in an October 18th restraining order that a judge gave his wife. Also, at one point, police believe there was an improvised explosive device on the scene, but the Milwaukee County Bomb Squad found out that it was just a 1-pound propane tank. Reporting live in Brookfield, Brandon Cruz, Fox 6 News.
And police were asked to identify if the wife is among any of the shooting victims. They refused to do so, apparently.
Exactly. They would not identify anybody at this point in time. They just said there were 3 victims in the shooting.
All right, Brandon, thank you.
No shortage of eyewitnesses in and around a busy Brookfield Square Mall when the shooting happened just before lunchtime.
Yeah, our Henry Rossoff spoke with many of them and joins us live with their dramatic firsthand accounts.
And some eyewitnesses were very, very close to the salon right back here behind me. Others not so close, but wanted to show up and help regardless of where you were in the area. When you heard about the shots or heard the shots themselves, you were not going to forget what followed.
I went to my car. I saw a girl coming out from the salon and she was bleeding in the neck with a paper towel over her neck.
Eyewitnesses recount the horrifying moments following the shooting at Azana Salon and the massive police and SWAT team response that floods Brookfield Square.
I saw 2 more females getting pulled out and they weren't able to walk. They got put on the stretchers.
We've seen about 10 people leave the building with their arms up, running out screaming.
And if all this is far too familiar to you,
it seems so surreal,
then imagine how Salvation Army volunteer Garmukh Singh feels while he comforts victims.
Seeing just the magnitude of the law enforcement response, and seeing the towers from all the news vans, it just kind of sent chills down my spine.
Singh is a member of the Sikh Temple of Wisconsin. He became a volunteer because of the mass shooting at his temple that claimed the lives of 6 worshipers before the shooter turned the gun on himself. 2 months later, He helps comfort victims of the salon shooting, where 4, including the shooter, died.
Most of the time it was just, putting a hand on a shoulder and just letting him know that everything was going to be okay.
And Singh admits that may be a tough sell to family members of victims, at least in the coming weeks and months, but he hopes they learn to have some healing in their lives as members of the Sikh temple have following their terrible tragedy. Live in Brookfield, Henry Rossoff, Fox 6 News.
We certainly learned a lot from them. Yeah, Henry, thank you. Well, the gunman's body was found inside of the salon, but his home in Brown Deer was surrounded by police today. Fox 6's Mike Lowe explains why the home is also considered, even at this point, a crime scene.
You see not just the guy with the rifle, but all the commotion with police cars, the street blocked and all that stuff.
The information was sparse, but it was soon clear that this was where the alleged Brookfield gunman lived.
It is related to the incident over in Brookfield, and that's all I'm able to give you right now.
Police surrounded the home of Radcliffe Houghton. A SWAT team was ready as Milwaukee County District Attorney John Chisholm arrived.
We did obtain further information that there might be explosive devices.
Authorities brought in the Milwaukee Police Bomb Squad to sweep the home.
It's a little unsettling to see the hazmat truck and SWAT team and people with flak jackets running around the neighborhood.
Former Fox 6 anchor Joanne Williams lives nearby, where police asked 16 residents to evacuate.
They were told to leave their homes, and they're a little bit nervous about that. And we don't know exactly where the house is.
I'm still trying to figure it out.
Neighbor Tyler Hughes had a similar reaction.
I've seen this guy before. I don't really know him, but I've definitely, said hi passing by in the yard.
He says he had heard of problems at the home on 6604 Glenbrook.
I heard it had something to do with his wife.
Brown Deer Police Chief Steve Rinzel says Houghton had a restraining order against him and was recently arrested.
The most recent one was a domestic violence case.
And Chief Rinzel also says that Houghton had 2 daughters. Those 2 daughters were found today at another location. The chief declined to say where that was or where the daughters are tonight. Now, as for the home here in Brown Deer tonight, activities seem to have wrapped up just within the last few minutes here, but police were here from Brookfield going through the home looking for any evidence, any clues as to what the motive might have been. Reporting live tonight in Brown Deer, Mike Lowe, Fox 6 News.
Mike, I think you said earlier the home was kind of boarded up, if you will, kind of a crime scene. Is that still the case? Will that become part of their investigation and remain closed?
Well, the reason that the home was boarded up this evening was because police had to physically break in through the windows with their bomb-searching robot today to search the home for a security sweep to make sure there were no explosive devices inside there that could cause injury to anyone in this neighborhood. So what they did was board up those open windows late this evening.
All right. Mike, reporting in Brown Deer, thank you for that. The owner of the Azana Salon sent a statement tonight calling the events of today devastating.
She says her first concern is with the victims and their families. The statement reads in part, "We are grieving over the loss of our colleagues, their families, and we are praying for those who are still fighting for their survival."
All the victims in today's tragedy are women, 3 dead and 4 injured. Those 4 range in age from 22 to 40.
As doctors worked on the victims today, Frederick Hospital was on lockdown as SWAT teams search potentially for the gunman. Fox 6's Ann State live in Wauwatosa tonight. Ann?
Mary and Ted, one worker confided in us off camera, said this was scary. Nobody was allowed to come or go. They were virtual prisoners inside this hospital. Sunday afternoon at Frederick Hospital, and the place is crawling with police and sheriff's deputies. Every entrance and exit guarded, cars being stopped. This is what a lockdown looks like.
Yeah, people were concerned, but they all felt safe because of the lockdown.
He being the gunman who had just shot 7 women at a Brookfield salon. The 4 survivors were taken here to Frederick by ambulance, although Flight for Life was on standby. Initially, there was concern the gunman might come to the hospital to finish the job. Staff and visitors were kept inside while authorities searched for a possible gunman.
Unfortunately, we're becoming all too familiar with this type of situation.
The head of surgery gave us an update at 6 p.m. 3 of the 4 women require surgery. 1 was in critical condition, but all expected to survive. And all in the care of staff who, it's probably fair to say, may have been concerned for their own safety at one point.
We drill for lockdowns, but it is a rare situation.
So a SWAT team in our building is not routine, and they responded heroically, actually.
As you saw in our piece, there was a woman quoted from Children's Hospital. They were on lockdown as well. They're right next door. Also, the county mental health complex just up the road was also on lockdown, again, for more than 3 hours. Nobody was allowed in or out. The only people being allowed into the hospital, we're told, were trauma patients, and if and only if they had a police escort. Once again, the 4 women being treated here from the shooting, they are ages 22, 30, 32, and 40. We have been given no names. We've really been given no update on their conditions. As last word, satisfactory for 3, 1 in critical condition, all expected to survive. We do not know the extent of their injuries other than that they were all shot. Live at Freighter and State, Fox 6 News.
And I go back to August and the Sikh temple shooting when officials and doctors there said, look, this may seem out of the ordinary for you in the media and the public, but we deal with this kind of trauma on a one shooting after another shooting after another shooting every weekend. Did they make that same point today?
They absolutely did. They said, we are trained for this. And they said, sadly, it is not uncommon to see several gunshot victims at once. The only thing uncommon, if you will, is the fact that all of the victims came from one incident. And of course, the fact that they had the whole hospital on lockdown, very rare and unusual. They did it because, as we said, they thought perhaps the gunman would come here. So they did a sweep of the whole hospital, took hours, but they cleared it. And of course, he was not there, and things were back to normal. But yes, Ted, they absolutely brought up that point that they do see gunshot victims way too often.
And State reporting live tonight. Thank you. Today's shooting happened just across the street from a busy Brookfield Square mall. Until the suspect was located, that mall also went into lockdown. Once the all clear was given, stores were given the option to reopen. Most chose to just stay closed. Across the parking lot, the restaurant Stir Crazy also shut down. Its parking lot became a home base, if you will, for armed police units. People passing by stopped to find out exactly what was going on.
We were driving past it, and I didn't know if there was like president was here or what was going on, so we pulled up and we just heard there was a shooting.
And as the day went on, spectators gathered outside the mall. They watched armed officers circle the mall, and as some people were eventually escorted out of the salon.
Well, for several people in Oak Creek, today was an eerily similar to another beautiful Sunday in August. That is when a lone gunman opened fire in a Sikh temple. And tonight, those who survived that shooting are reaching out to the survivors of today's salon shooting. Fox 6's Jenna Sachs has their message for the victims' families.
At the place where a different gunman stole the lives of innocent worshipers, a prayer is said for the latest victims of another mass shooting. Members of the Oak Creek Sikh Temple light candles for the 3 people killed and 4 injured in Sunday's shooting at the Zana Salon and Spa.
The bigger picture here is that we need to treat issues like this as a community problem rather than it's their problem.
2 members of this temple recently joined the Salvation Army and were among the volunteers who responded to the spa Sunday afternoon.
I felt a really deep connection to him. Like it was hard because I felt like I understood that kind of grief. It was very difficult.
I tried to block out everything and tried to try to do our job, but I found myself subconsciously thinking about August 5th.
The shooting in Brookfield comes just 11 weeks after Wade Michael Page opened fire at the Sikh temple, killing 6 and critically injuring 3. Like the Azana Salon gunman, Page also turned the gun on himself.
We're hoping for speedy recovery for them.
Members of the Sikh community offered these words to the families of the latest victims.
It's going to be a long road to being okay. Adjusting to a new kind of normal is a difficult thing. But hopefully what they see and what they hear is that, we're going to stand behind them.
And one Sikh man told us he got that same sinking feeling in his stomach when he learned of today's shooting. Now, during the vigil, the candles were actually placed around what we're told is a sacred Sikh flag. We're told it's meaningful because when it's raised, it can be seen from far away. And we're told that Sikhs here hope that their prayers will be heard from far away as well, and that they will offer some comfort to the victims and their families. Reporting live in Oak Creek, Jenna Sachs, Fox 6 News.
It is no doubt a comfort. Jenna, thank you for that.
As this story develops, stick with Fox 6, both on air and online. We'll have updates throughout this newscast, of course. And Fox 6 Wake Up will start early at 4 a.m., so you can always get continuing coverage on fox6now.com as well. Well, tonight we are gathering more information about the suspected shooter.
Who was he? Tonight we are uncovering new details about Radcliffe Houghton, including some intriguing new information from one of his professors.